The Trump team putting the trade spotlight on China, South Korea, and Japan. And before getting on Air Force One, the president saying that his tariff plan will pay off for the U.S.
I think the tariff plan is doing very well. We're resetting the table. We're going to make our country very rich, very, very rich. It's already happening.
Grady Trimble of Fox Business. He's live at the White House with some details. Hi, Grady. Good morning.
Dana, good morning to you. The back and forth between the Trump administration and Beijing about who's talking to whom and who's saying what continues this morning. President Trump says talks with China are active, and in an interview with Time magazine about his first 100 days in office, he says this: President Xi has called, and I don't think that's a sign of weakness on his behalf. But what we don't know is when that call happened. Here's President Trump on his way to Rome.
You said you spoke with President Xi. Have you spoken to him since the tariffs? When did you last speak with him?
I don't want to comment on that, but I've spoken to him many times, yeah.
China's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, on the other hand, posted this on X. China and the U.S. are not having any consultation or negotiation on #tariffs. The U.S. should stop creating confusion. We're also learning today that Apple is reportedly shifting production of iPhones for the U.S. market from China to India, aiming for India to make most iPhones sold in the United States by the end of next year. There's progress to report today between South Korea and the United States. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says things are moving faster than expected with that country. We also know he met with the Japanese finance minister yesterday. And this morning, President Trump says that the U.S. is very close to a deal with Japan. As you noted off the top, guys, the president heading to Rome for the Pope's funeral, but it sounds like he has a long list of world leaders to meet. We're told that the list of requests from world leaders to meet with the president was 3 pages, single space, though we don't know exactly who the president has time to meet with.
I want to see
Dana.
who's going to make the cut. All right. Thanks so much, Grady.
So now tariff pain starting to hit the ports. This could be a major indicator, too, so watch this story. Overseas shipments from Asia into the Los Angeles area is taking a plunge, we're told, and signs show that it's only going to get worse. William La Jeunesse is live at the Port of Los Angeles, and what are you seeing there with the sun up there in California? William, hello.
Hey, good morning, Bill. Yeah, the ports are seeing more cancellations every day. That means ships not sailing. But it's all about the ripple effect, right? Product availability, consumer price, but also jobs. And nowhere is that more apparent than here at the port of L.A. in Long Beach, right? This is kind of the canary in the coal mine that you mentioned in this escalating trade war with China. Cancellations are way up. Ship traffic could fall more than 35% in a single month.
In terms of bookings, as it relates to shippings, that's been substantially reduced, anywhere between 30–35%. In some instances, with some commodities, even up to 50%.
So what does that mean? Well, on average, a container ship carries about 8,000 containers. It takes about 4 days to unload. With traffic down by 3 ships a day, that's 25,000 containers that don't need longshoremen, warehouse workers, or truckers.
The writing is on the wall. If we're not moving containers, there's no work, which means the companies aren't making money. And you have to make money to survive in this environment. It's just the way it is.
So one casualty in this tariff war, Abacus Toys. It designs toys here in LA, but manufactures them in China. But because consumers are not going to pay $50 for a toy that should cost $25, the company is looking for alternatives, but say that could take years.
It's truly going to be a catastrophic year. I mean, more than half of the folks that I know are talking about closing their doors.
So the bottom line is, Bill, we get about $400 billion in trade with China imports. Most of it comes here. People here I've spoken to, they want fair trade. The question is, how long is it going to take to get that before you start losing hours or shifts or even layoffs?
Yeah.
Back to you.
Golden question there. Thank you, William. Nice to see you there on the water there in L.A. Thank you. So in the Journal this week, Mark Penn and Andrew Stein penned this. A new poll shows the peril of Trump's tariffs. It reads, Mr. Trump has a lot of policies here that could catapult him into high popularity, but his tariffs, whether good policy or not, are dragging him down. He ignores that at his political peril. End quote. It is the global story of the day. I think we can agree on that. What do you think?
And well, I do think that these small business owners, like the guy who does the toys, right? There's a lot of those people in America. orders are stalled. Everything is like at a standstill, and they don't have that much cushion. They have enough. They have a little bit of cushion. They have a little bit of patience, but they don't have endless runway.
Yeah, my sense was this week when Scott Bessent came out and talked about, working a deal behind closed doors with J.P. Morgan, then the president said, agreed with it later that day.
Yeah.
That was a way of like softening things for the market and getting things up, which is where they went after both of those men talked.
Indeed. We want to bring in Fox News anchor Shannon Bream. Of course, we adore her, and here she is. The state attorneys general, I'm going to put up a map here for you. These are mostly Democrats, I would imagine, are suing Trump over tariffs. How's that going to go?
Well, they're going to the special trade court that we have here in the U.S. All of that eventually feeds to the federal courts and could get to the Supreme Court. But what they're saying is all of these trades and tariff deals, they're to the detriment of the U.S. And more importantly, they argue this is the purview of Congress, that the Constitution gives Congress the power to deal with trade and tariffs and not the executive branch. So California's got a separate one going on these trade and tariff issues as well. Just another court battle for the Trump administration to manage.
Okay, so Shannon, this story broke about 2 hours ago. The president sat down with Time magazine. It's lengthy for an interview, and there's a lot of detail in there. This is what we pulled from the questions with China. Will you call President Xi if he doesn't call you? The president says no. You won't? Nope. Has he called you? Yep. When did he call you? He's called. I don't think that's a sign of weakness on his behalf. I think about that comment, and then when he left the White House last hour, it's my sense that they've talked, but not necessarily on tariffs. That's what I see between the lines here. What about you?
Yeah, I agree. Very careful parsing of the words that President Trump was using, because we've been hearing, oh, we're having these conversations. And China's like, no, we're not. We're not having any of these conversations. So you wonder how much of that is public posturing. But President Trump has been very careful on what he said about the timeline and what they discussed. And we know they've had a relationship. The president's been criticized over that in the past, but he says that's how you actually get deals done. I have to have open lines of communication from them. So whether they're actually actively right now discussing tariffs, I think, is still unclear.
Shannon, there was a busy day in the courts yesterday, and this has been a story of the first 100 days of the Trump administration. He has policies and things he wants to do, and the courts are saying no, and then there are these national injunctions frustrating him and causing the Supreme Court to have a very busy docket. Here's just on the screen for people to understand. They blocked some of the citizenship requirements for voting. Blocking the Department of Education for denying federal funds regarding DEI, this California sanctuary jurisdictions, and also about the, of course, Maryland man, of course, also known as the suspected gang member Garcia out of Maryland. This is shaping up to be a big fight, and how soon will Trump be able to have some resolution on what can go forward?
Yeah, and Dana, you lay that out perfectly. Those cases you just showed were all just from yesterday.
Right.
And so we know that there have been weeks and weeks of this stuff, and they're just piling up. So I think what's going to be helpful for everybody is when the Supreme Court has these arguments May 15th, it's in the context of birthright citizenship, but really what it's about is whether these lower court judges can issue these nationwide injunctions. So I think that is going to answer a lot of these questions. And if the court ultimately says no, they can't, that's going to slow down a lot of this stuff and free up the president to be able to execute and implement a lot more of these policies. But listen, I'm going to say something that my late father would have said, is that the Trump legal team is busier than a one-legged man in a butt-kicking contest, because they cannot possibly keep up. R.I.P. Dad, that is for you this morning.
Peter loves that phrase, too, indeed.
Dig it. On that same
It applies.
time. Yes, it does. Well stated. Roll this from the Vice President from yesterday, Wednesday.
Actually a deeper issue going on, which is that you see some radical judges at the district court level who are trying to layer so much quote-unquote process on top of the immigration system that it makes it impossible to function. If we're not allowed to deport them, then what these district courts are saying is fundamentally they reject the will of the American people as it was expressed in November of 2024.
So that's going to be a topic this weekend when Senator Kennedy comes on with you. I know he will be colorful. All right. You've got him, and you've got someone else, don't you? Is that right, Shannon?
We do. Adam Smith, Democratic congressman, the ranking member of House Armed Services. So we'll try to get to all of that, plus the star of the show, Dana Perino. You guys, congrats on the new book. It really is full of such practical information, but so many fun, hilarious behind-the-scenes stories on Dana and a lot of other people that we love, like Bill Hemmer.
Did you wear green just for me, Shannon?
I did, just for your book cover. I did.
Thank you. And wait for it. There's a special fit check that Kate and I did with Shannon Bream coming out soon.
I feel like I look like a giant compared to you two.
Well,
when
yeah,
people see that fit
you're
check.
a normal-sized person. We're very, very short. Thanks, Shannon.
I did
We'll
have
be
heels
watching
on.
Senator Kennedy.
Congrats.
That's a good one.
Have a great
Yeah.
weekend.
See you guys Sunday.
Thank you.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.